Okay, welcome back to another episode of What is This Clarinet? A band director sent me two pictures, even though I requested for more. Let me show you quickly what I usually request for pictures. Okay, there's usually 10 pictures that I request for, and they'll have specific items. I'm going to get to this in another video of why the items are so important of identifying the age and manufacturer of everything. But the 10 pictures are quite easy. One is the upper joint, upper half, as we have here. Two is the lower joint, lower half. And you see I have descriptions on here, by the way, of why I need it. So third is upper joint, back, upper half at a specific angle. You can see many things here. Four is upper joint, lower back half. Five is lower joint, upper half. Six is the lower joint, lower half. Seven is the lower joint, upper side, as this image is. Eight is if there's any serial number. Nine is picture of the bell, the emblem, and 10 is the barrel of the emblem. Of course, you know the barrel and bells can easily be replaced, but they help nonetheless. Okay, what we have here, as you can see, is, obviously clarinet. But on the upper joint, there's no emblem. We can see the slotted barrel key guide being a thinner one. We can see independent post and adjuster with a nylon screw in it. Identifies it being more modern. Everything else is more modern here. No emblems on it whatsoever. But there is a key indicator here, which I always see with a particular brand of clarinet during a particular era. And it sticks out like a sore thumb. There's two main identifiers here that we can see. Look at the tone holes here. You'll see they're nice and shiny. That is identifiable with the Buffet E-11. Schreiber made tons of these. In a previous video I had from December 10th, 2023, this is of an E-11, one of the earlier generations that had a stamped emblem on it. Many times people would wipe away the model number on it and say, hey, it's an R13. And then you look at the tone holes in the plastic, it's an E11. It has made in Germany or West Germany in it, it's an E11. Anyways, you have plastic tone holes, but one of the other identifiers here is look at the keywork here, the touches here. And what you'll see is that the touches themselves are actually soldered on to the arm of the clarinet itself. If you don't know what I'm talking about, here's a B12. This is the lower joint. It's these two keys right here I'm talking about. You'll see how these ones, these are hammered from one piece into the shape they are, and they're one piece. The E11 during this generation had several identifiers. One is these touches for your finger. The flat parts were actually separate pieces, and they were soldered onto the arms themselves. And we'll go back and look at that again. Second, of course, I mentioned the tone holes. You can clearly see they're shiny plastic. Let's get back to the picture. And you can see these little slots in here, these little slices, and if you look at it closely, you can see that they're clearly were added on. And once you see this over and over again, this is basically a Buffet E11. Plastic tone holes is also what's in the Buffet E11. But why is there no emblems on it? During a time frame, Buffet Schreiber is now owned by Buffet for like 20 years or something, but they're independent. They went away from the earlier E11, from the earlier video I mentioned, and they went, instead of stamping the emblem on it, if most clarinets, you'll see that there's an emblem on it, and this emblem is actually stamped in there, so you can feel it, and then they gold wax fill it, so that it looks cool, So, and you can feel, especially on the plastic ones, because the plastic itself raises up. On the older ones, you can feel it. It's rough there. On newer clarinets, they use lasers to cut it, and it's flat and flush with the groove in there. But on this generation E11, what they did is they used a foil emblem on this, on the barrel, upper joint, and on the bell. and nothing on the lower joint. And this foil emblem, as put on the pieces, would quickly just wear away, and you end up with nothing on the clarinet, no identifier whatsoever. So looking at this clarinet right here, it's very hard to figure out what it is. You look at the upper joint also, you can see how it definitely looks like plastic to me. It's more shiny and polished. So, first identifier is the plastic tone holes. Second identifier is the soldered on pinky touches under the arms. So this, and has everything else too, it's slotted trill key guide and everything else. So it matches the more modern E11s. So this is definitely a Buffet E11, just from those two things. And that's what I replied back. It was a E11 when they made the infamous gold foil emblems heat transferred onto the body, onto the barrel, upper joint, and bell, as I mentioned. And those quickly wore off. And you'll see on eBay lots of unknown Buffet clarinets that lost their emblems, and some of you can actually see some emblems on them. In fact, let's take a quick look. Okay, here's a couple. Here's a more modern one, but you can see how the gold emblem itself is worn away here. But this is a more modern one. There's a very slight indent on it, but you can see how it just wears away quite easily. Now here's another one here. You can see there's absolutely nothing on the upper joint. If we take a look here, you can see the key touches once again in the lower joint are soldered onto the long arms. And there's barely anything showing in the bell. So there's a lot of these floating around the internet. But getting back to this, as we can see, as I mentioned, the key touches being soldered onto the arms is a big indicator of this generation E11 and plastic tone holes. So email back, this was an E11 without seeing any of the other pictures. I guess the band director is happy. But there's another example of what is this clarinet with very little information, one picture. And fortunately, this E11 is well known for having no emblems. Anyways, I hope you like this. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you later.